Hello, everyone. Welcome to Music Scene Investigation. I've got to apologize straight off the top because of some video issues, some server issues we're experiencing. There seems to be some unwanted lag anytime we're doing video. We're going to try and address that after today's show and figure out what we can and can't do in regards to our newly relocated situation. I want to introduce to you everybody here today on the panel. We got our in-house panelist with us today. Unfortunately, we're not going to be doing a music review set today like we normally would. Being the holiday weekend and all here in the States made things kind of difficult, but we're going to go ahead and conduct a broadcast for you today. So let me introduce Mr. Tom Chianti from New York City. Tom, how was your holiday, sir?
It was a turkey, Rich. What can I tell you?
Well, did you have turkey?
No, I had chicken cutlets.
Did you dress them up as turkey?
Yes, we did a fine little dance, and then I ate them.
Were they good?
Oh, yummy.
All right, well...
Guys, I need to... Sorry, as an Englishman, I hate to butt in, but I need to understand something, right? Why does...
more than that.
Why does your president pardon a turkey?
It's the politically correct thing to do. At least that's, this has gone on for years and years and years where the president will pardon not one but two turkeys during the holiday season as a show of good faith that we're not just brutal killers that the world appears to think we are.
And to be at peace with the turkey nation.
Okay, so you kill thousands, spare one, and think that's good enough, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, just so I understand.
Well, we don't want to overdo it.
Yeah, and at least we're honest about it, right?
Yeah, I just needed it spelled out to me in black and white. I didn't quite understand the whole pardoning a turkey thing because, we don't do that in England, and we consume a lot of turkeys over Christmas.
Well, Ian, by the way, welcome to the show. Now, do you guys do the same traditional kind of Thanksgiving celebration as what we do here in the States? I would imagine you don't, but I don't know.
No, we don't do the Thanksgiving thing. We save it all up for Christmas.
Well, these turkeys that the president has pardoned were very bad turkeys.
What do they do?
They robbed a couple of fast food joints.
Yeah, they were long-term criminals, and, just as the president does near the end of his term, he offers pardons to criminals. Well, in this case, turkeys are often pardons prior to the holiday.
I just wonder what the two turkeys done to deserve a pardon. If Tom said they're robbing fast food joints, what are they, cannibals? Just going down the road for a bucket of chicken?
Well, that wouldn't really be cannibalism. It would be brotherly. I don't know. They're the same.
Birds are birds. Come on.
Yeah. Before this goes too far into the weeds, not that it already hasn't, by the way, I do want to invite those who are fed up with the lag and any choppiness therein in our video signal to go to musicsceneinvestigation.com/radio, where you can hear us live via the radio as well. You won't hear any of the choppiness there, I guarantee that. But I do want to take this opportunity to also remind everybody that we have an award show that's going to be coming up at the beginning of the year. And actually the first month of the year. We haven't set an exact date, but I imagine it'll be about the middle of the month like it normally was or was last year. And we want to invite you to come and vote for your favorites in the nominees that have been nominated for not only Artist of the Year, but also Panelist of the Year, just like we did last year. And then we've also put in place a new award this year, which is the Most Requested Artist. And all you have to do to vote in that is just request your favorite artist, no matter whether they've been nominated as Artist of the Year or not, on the radio. And we'll tally those up.
Would you like a quick update on those?
Pardon me?
Would you like a quick update on those?
Certainly, if you have an update.
I can give you an update on those. So far, Best Artist Is it? We've got Stepdaddy in the lead, with Monty Pittman pulling in a close second. For the best guest, we've got Mr. Paul Miro, who was also our guest of 2011, with Dave Carrera pulling up a close second. And for most requested, we have, drum roll please. What was the drum roll?
Now, I've got to tell you, the most requested that you see on the site isn't necessarily right.
Ah.
Now, and the reason I say that is because I've done some cross-referencing of those two items, and it seems that what's shown on the site is a little bit different than what I have in the database that I look at. So I just want everybody to be aware of that. But the most requested from our database is Project Sirius.
Project Sirius, there we go.
Yeah. And they are, let me see if I can figure out what song was of theirs. I think it's called the Philadelphia Experiment, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Their song?
That is their song, yeah. Yeah, Philadelphia Experiment.
If I remember rightly, it's kind of got like a Muse type feel to it, sort of big sort of space age type thing going on with lots of orchestration and rock guitars and...
That's exactly right. It has a very unique feel to it. I really enjoy the song. The first time I heard it, I was like, yeah, this is interesting. It grows on you as you hear it. So, but please go to MusicSceneInvestigation.com, click on the contest up at the top, click on that 2012 awards menu selection, make your vote and get your voice heard. We'll be making those awards in the month of January, and would really like to hear what you have to say about it.
I mean, at some point during the show, would we be able to play that song?
At some point during this show, we might be able to do just that. I might be able to get that queued up for us. I'll have to take a look and see if I can grab it. But before we do that, I believe that there were some topics that Ian wanted to bring up during this broadcast, since we are, again, in a situation where we're not quite set up enough to go ahead and do a full-blown review show at this point. So, Ian, I'm going to turn it over to you for a second.
Well, I was just thinking, we've had some downtime, and surely in that downtime we've all been a bit busy. We could talk about maybe what you've been doing over there in the studio, Rich. I know it's been frustrating, but I'm sure people might find it interesting. I know Tom's been working on a video, haven't you, Tom?
Yes, for a jazz instrumental band.
A jazz instrumental band?
Well, tell us about it. Do tell.
Well, the video's just the montage of really cool images to go along with each one's solo and when the group comes in. But there's a lot of flame, water, and cool scenery.
So the song, who's it by you or someone else you're collaborating with at this point?
This has been one of the most strangest projects I've ever taken. They sent me the song through third party, and I've been given no information. Not the name of the group, not the name of the song, just the song. No pictures, no video, no logo. Nothing.
So it's kind of like what you do for MSI. You reviewed the song, looked at it, and then figured out what went well with it.
Yeah, I tried to, the video flows in time with the audio. And, when the when the audio picks up or the pace picks up or it gets more exciting, I got a flaming bowling ball going into a TV, which transforms into flaming towers of speakers.
Kind of reminds me of the Towering Inferno.
It looks sort of like that, yeah.
Well, that's always cool. That's cool. So anything else going on with you, Tom? I mean, holidays and everything like that? What's been going on?
Well, for the most part, It's just another day in the neighborhood. But, Alana and I have been working on new tracks. And, Alana has finally taken to GarageBand. And something I need to speak to you about after the show, Rich. She has, the music on hold.
Mm-hmm. I do.
We have friends who own a music store on the island called the Music Emporium, and they asked us to make a music on hold. Well, Alana went to town on this. She didn't know anything about GarageBand, but she sliced and diced and timed and faded in and faded out of each piece, and she did a rough reading of the monologue, and it came out really good.
Well, cool. I look forward to talking with you about that later, and we'll get to that after the broadcast today.
Okie dokie.
All right, sounds cool.
Excellent.
All right, so Ian, let me tell you guys a little bit about the trials and travesties that are moving studios. I don't recommend anybody do it. I really don't. Not even if you have to. I would recommend against it. And if I could, I would be traveling 700 miles every week to do this show. But unfortunately, that's not in the cards. So we did have to move studios. We moved from Alabama to Illinois, and we're set up in a totally different studio, even than what we had when we were previously broadcasting from Illinois. Unfortunately, when we set up the new studio, we ran into a couple of issues. Number one being bandwidth. We're working with some not ideal bandwidth, unfortunately. So we have two DSL lines in that we're using right now. The second issue we have is that I had one machine just kind of say, I don't want to move, and no longer run the software that we used for our broadcast. So I've been troubleshooting that for the last week and a half. And as of yesterday, got software to work. And that's where we're at right now. We're still battling bandwidth issues, as you can see. If you're watching the video off to my right-hand side here, I have the streaming software up, and I'm showing that our flash queue is full, which means when I say something, you probably won't hear it for a couple of minutes at least, so you're hearing this explanation after I've completed making it. And that's where we're at right now. We're trying to determine the best course of action in solving these issues right at the moment, and hopefully we'll have some more information on that as we go along. We'll be posting it out on MusicSceneInvestigation.com as we get it. So there you have it. How's that, Ian?
That's fantastic. I'm just thinking, this whole lag thing, we could maybe use it for technically speaking to the future.
How's that?
Well, yeah, we could broadcast something now and make the lag, a couple of thousand years.
At this point, with the way Justin TV, my ISP, and everything is working, it will probably be a couple of thousand years before they hear this conversation.
Well, fantastic. I hope they've got some lovely sort of space age type clothing and floating cars. We need floating cars.
I ain't going anywhere until I get my floating car.
Actually, I already have the floating cars here, and they're being sent out to you tomorrow.
Fantastic. It's just my dream as a boy. We were always going to have flying cars, and none.
No, I didn't say flying cars. I said floating cars.
Well, that's a flying
we got
car.
plenty of them still in New York.
Where do you think I got them from, Tom?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, having some imported from England as well, as I understand.
Yeah, it's a bit wet over here in a few places, and a few people are not sleeping in their houses tonight.
I can understand that. I've heard, who was it? I believe Paul Miro said in an item he posted to Twitter that it was raining and they expected like 2 more years of rain or something along those lines.
I think they predicted 40 days and 40 nights, and suddenly a truckload of woods turned up in my yard. So, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe 2 of every animal except the wasps and the lions and the tigers.
Well, at least you'll have something to keep you company as you float away.
Yeah, exactly. And plenty of food.
I understand. And speaking of Paul Miro, I know there is some good news in the line today in the big list of things to talk about. Paul Miro, if you don't know, has been in the process of putting together and releasing a new album. Sometimes you get, sometimes you get got. And I'm expecting mine in the mail at any point within the next week. I know that Ian, I believe you've gotten yours already, yes?
I have mine. There it is. Can you see this? I don't know. I can't see what the video is looking. So is that good?
I can indeed see it. It looks great.
Yeah, and then sometimes you get got.
Very cool.
Are we all going to get one, or am I going to be left out again?
It depends on whether or not you pledged, Tom.
I guess I'm going to be left out.
But this was the case with the album. It was all done on crowdsourcing or fan funding, whichever way you want to look at it, through Paul's own pledge website. And I've been helping him out with the promotion through social networking. We've advertised on the site for him. And I've also worked on a couple of videos, which you should check out over on YouTube, one of which is called Borderline Clone, and the other which is called Kings of Mediocrity. Check them out on YouTube and hear some great music, as well as some quite good videos as well.
I've got to tell you that the song and video that you guys did, now I'm not discounting the Borderline Clones by any means. I think it's a great piece of work that you did in the way of video, that Paul did in the way of music. But I got to tell you, the Kings of Mediocrity, flat out my favorite so far. I think it is a brilliant piece of work.
Well, you are going to love the album. If you love that track, you're going to love the album. There's some good stuff on there. And if you didn't get a chance to get the bonus material, go and pledge now. The pledges are still open. You can pick up the bonus material still. So get over to paulmiro.com/pledge. And I think the album's only about £15-20 with the bonus material. So get that before it's taken down, because it's going to be soon.
All right, and again, paulmiro.com. There are a ton, I think 7 or 8 MP3s that are bonus material. You can still pledge to get after I think it's the first of the month, isn't it, Ian? That will be no more.
I think it's first of the month. I think he's going to try and hold it open for a little bit longer if he can, but obviously, there's commitments to people who are pledging to make the album, so he wants to sort of be fair and not sort of string it out as something anyone can get, which is understandable.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. All right, now, Paul Miro aside, I think there are a couple of other things that I know that I want to talk about with you guys. We have you guys on this broadcast every week, and we tell everybody that the music is being reviewed by industry experts. Now, I want to delve into that a little bit, because when we have our guests on, we let everybody know our guest's background, so they know, like John Schroeder. They know that John Schroeder is the godfather of Motown for the UK. They know that. They know that this guy knows what he's talking about. But when it comes to the two of you, Tom and Ian, that may be just not quite as clear. So what I want to do is spend a little time talking about your background and how you guys got into music, who you've worked with, what you've done, what makes you an expert in the field. So if I could, I want to start with Tom. Short and sweet, Tom. When did you get started in music, and what was your first pro job in music? And then I'll ask the same thing to Ian, and we'll flip-flop back and forth as we delve into your careers.
Okay, well, actually, I'm second-generation music industry, because my father worked as East Coast rep for MCA, Sony, Elektra. He was in sales. So I never had to even buy an album until I was like 20 years old, because he would always bring home, I have some great collectibles. from that era. That was the 60s and 70s. And then in mid-80s, a friend of mine had asked me to play some keyboards on a track. So I went down to this studio and I played the keyboards. But before I could even do that, I had to rewire their entire MIDI system because it was just not set up. And I did my parts, and the engineer pulled me over and said, "Do you want a job here? Because we don't know anybody that knows about MIDI." I said, "Sure." Unfortunately, 6 months later, the head engineer passed away, and I became head engineer, and we did a little bit of label work. And then while I was running one studio, I went to another studio and began assisting on major label work. I worked with Tony Moran, Gloria Estefan, works for Cher, Redman, Method Man.
Okay, now I'll tell you what, let me stop you there. We're going to come back to that in just a second. Because I want to find out more about who you worked with, but I want to go to Ian first, find out how you started, Ian, and your first gig, your first job in the pro business.
Well, in the pro side, it was actually as a graphic designer. I was working for a small company called Design League, and they were both, Brian, who was one of the bosses, was a bass player in Spider, who we've known to come and love over the course of MSI. And the other guy had worked for Pete Waterman and EMI, and their primary focus as a design company was on music. And we used to do a lot of sleeve work. Even to the point we used to get a chance to do some vinyl stuff, because it was sort of, this was in mid-90s. And I got to, work on a lot of album sleeves, from everything like the budget stuff for K-Tel, 1,000 love songs for £2 available in every service station across Germany, to high-profile artists like Bentley Rhythm Ace, who had Beastie Boys, David Bowie, and people like that. But before that, I was working as a manager, as a songwriter. I was generally associating with the local music scene as an independent artist as well.
All right, so now let me go back to Tom. Tom, I know that you've been in the business for 20, almost 30 some odd years as a recording engineer. You've worked with, as you just mentioned, some big names in music. Tell us a little bit more about that, a little bit about some of these people you've worked with.
Oh, God, there's so many of the names. Missy Elliott, I said Janet Jackson, I believe, John Cicada.
Celine Dion.
Yeah, Celine Dion. And I've recorded full orchestras, 80-piece orchestra, down to my first gig as chief engineer was the night, unfortunately, that the previous chief engineer passed away, and nobody had known about it as yet. And we had a 28-piece swing band. So the owner asked me, "Can I do a favor and do the session?" And I just went, "What?"
That's kind of a big, a tall order to be dropped into, isn't it? I mean, 28-piece band right off the top of the hat. And you're dropped right in the middle of that. That must have been a pretty frightening, difficult kind of situation to be dropped in, huh?
At first, I froze, and then I said, "All right, it's just like any other session," because I usually did all the mic setups and everything. So I got them all set up and everybody in their place, and went and got levels, and they loved it. I've been very fortunate where I have an affinity for engineering. I also did producing. I produced John Cicada's vocals, a lot of Raquel It was in the dance genre. I can't remember because this is going back a ways. And then I also produced outside independent artists. I ran 2 independent labels. I did, and if you want to talk about my first paying job, I was on the payroll for MCA Music as a staff writer when I was 18.
So you really are, when we talk about the music industry experts, you're really one of those guys. There is no doubt about that.
I've done live sound, recorded sound, TV sound, surround sound, produced, written, recorded, played.
Now you mentioned played. This is something we haven't talked a lot about, and I want to touch on it. What instruments do you or have you played, Tom? Real quick.
I play acoustic 12-string, electric 6-string, and a massive amount of keyboards that I have. I also sound design. And I've done Foley work and
I know that right now you're in the process of doing some Foley work, some audio work, producing audio for a movie. And I want to talk about that when we come back to you, but I want to go back to Ian right at the moment, okay? So
tennis, here we go.
That's exactly what it is. It's back and forth, back and forth. And so Ian, from your perspective, we talked with Tom about some of the people he worked with. We talked about some of the different things in graphic artistry that you've done. How about from the music side? I know that you've been in a number of bands. You were signed. Want to tell us a little bit about some of that?
Well, I was signed to a small publishing company. We had a band called Frequency, which we were in for about 10 years. And various lineup changes. We played the whole London circuit. We'd done a lot of regional radio work. And we released an album in 2004 with D4 Music, which was one of the guys involved with the Black Eyed Peas. And the nephew of Bruce Foxburn, the bass player from The Jam. So we got involved with them guys, and it kind of all fell over. It was one of those situations where it all happened, and then we didn't have professional management, we didn't have any representation at all, just these guys from D4 Music sort of helping us out with a bit of financing. And the album was great. We recorded it up at a studio in London where people like Coldplay and Tom Jones have recorded, up at Punish, I think Punish they were called, and Fortress Studios. And 11-track album, brilliant, great fun. Didn't do much. We didn't have the power behind us to get it out there, and that all collapsed. And then I signed a small publishing deal after that with a project called 8 Month Malfunction, where we pumped out a couple of singles with a professional producer, a guy called Joe Webb. And again, money, really. The publishing company didn't have the money to sort of do anything more. It was only a very small company, so that was shelved with the idea of coming back to it. And obviously, sometimes you shelve these things and never come back to it.
Yeah, and that's an unfortunate thing. I got to tell you, because I as well as Tom and a number of other people have listened to your work. I've also listened to Tom's work, and I think you guys are both worthy of being out there on your own, making your music as you do, but need a much larger spotlight, which is what we try and do for the bands that submit their music here on Music Scene Investigation as well. Now, let's go back on the Pong side to Tom and pick up where we left off. Tom, tell me about this movie that you've been working on and the process you go through in that, because I know that working audio for a movie, for an indie movie like what you're doing, is a huge endeavor, and I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's an independent feature film, all animation. Elliot Cowan is the animator, producer, director. I worked with him a couple of years ago where I did music and Foley for a short. And he said I was quirky, and he liked it. So when he got this project together, he lives 2 floors down from me, literally, and knocked on my door and said, "We've got this project. I've already scored about 3 or 4 scenes for it." It is a lot of work. People don't realize even when there's quiet, you have to come up with ambient noise.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing to really pick on. I mean, obviously we can have trains going through in the background. But you've got to pick your mood, your atmosphere. It's got to be relative to the scene. And it's a very exciting project. We're supposed to mix in surround sound, which will be good for me to get my chops back. I haven't mixed in surround sound since the movie Airheads.
Yeah, I've seen that movie.
Yeah, and of course I didn't get credit for it. That's one of the things that's funny. Working in the hip-hop field and rap field, the songs go through so many names and so many changes that you can't remember who did all the engineering. So usually it came down to the luck of the draw. Whoever was the last one to mix it, even though it had been mixed 6 times, whoever was the last one to mix it got credit. You know?
No, I gotcha.
Because what's that Moulin Rouge remake? I actually recorded the basic tracks for that.
Okay, I gotcha. Now, from a movie perspective, you were talking Foley work earlier. What is, or would you say, is the oddest way you've ever tried to or ever accomplished, whichever way, reproduce a specific sound for the movie?
Well, I do a lot of designing and coming up with sounds. I have like 6-7 synths and another 6-7 sound modules, plus a terabyte worth of samples. And basically, it's to recreate a sound is easy. Because there's volumes of libraries out there where you can get any type, 320 types of door slams. You know, so what I try to do is start with the basic and then try to make it unique in some way or another, or just take something totally unrelated and turn it into whatever the sound needs to be.
Yeah, okay. I remember seeing some show where they were talking about how they made different sounds, and they took lions roaring and slowed them down and overdubbed some other stuff to make it sound like what they wanted. And I guess they got what they wanted. I think it was the lightsaber sound or something.
Yeah, it does sound like a Star Wars one.
Yeah.
There was some other movie, though, that when they were going for a monster type roar, like for the T-Rex, in those movies, you know, and I get to do a little bit of that because, as I said, I'm doing the ambient sounds, and I'm coming up with some interesting atmospheres. And
well, where can we eventually, hopefully, see this movie and actually listen to this work you've been doing?
Well, from what I understand, it'll be part of the New York Film Festival and then go into limited release.
Okay, so we can look forward to seeing that. Does it have a name yet?
No.
Not yet. Okay. All right, cool. Well, we can definitely look forward to that. And as soon as you find out, I guess you'll let us know. At least I hope you'll let us know. After all, we know where you live.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, Ian, I want to come back to you, and then we can wrap this up here from the perspective of what I wanted to talk about. But I want to talk to you a little bit because I know that you're not sitting on your laurels either. You're in the process, or you have been in the process for many a year, doing still out doing gigs. I mean, you are a working musician. You go out every week and melt faces. That's the only thing I can.
Love your way of putting it. Yeah, cheers for that, Rich. Yes, I'm the vocalist in a jam band. The jam's been going 15, 16 years now. Again, a few lineup changes, a few venue changes over the years, but it's always been on a Thursday night, 9 o'clock. And we're currently at the Rising Sun in Slough. And we've also got a covers band called From the Ashes, where we go out and just play pub rock cover stuff on Fridays and Saturday nights and Sundays. And we do a few small festivals still as well, which are remnants back from the Frequency days when we used to do them there. Where we'll play to a few thousand people, and we learn special sets. Like a couple of years back, we've done a Christmas gig in September. That was called Christmas Comes Twice a Year. That was a good gig. And we've got one coming up this year as well, which is superhero themed. So we've got to think of some songs for that.
And you are also not only thinking of songs, but you are currently working and getting ready to release some new songs and things along those lines. What can you tell us about what's going on in that regard?
Well, I didn't stop writing. I still write, and I still do a bit of production and engineering in my little home studio set up here using Logic Pro. So I've always got things coming out. My music's changed a lot now. It's a lot more tongue-in-cheek. It's a lot more novelty, I think is the best word these days. And we've got a Christmas song coming out, of course. It's nearly Christmas. And every year, myself and the wife, Tony, we put out a little cynical, sarcastic style Christmas song. And this year, it's probably the most controversial. So that's coming out on the 21st of December over at iCompositions.com.
That's the day that the world is supposed to end, Ian.
It is, yeah, but that's not while I'm releasing on that day. There's something else happening on that day.
Do tell. What is that?
That's, well, I'm not going to say that because that would spoil the whole thing.
No. What else is happening that day besides the world ending, you releasing your new Christmas song?
Remember, we know where you live, too.
That's true, we do.
It's the winter solstice.
Oh, okay. It's the shortest day of the year.
Yeah.
That was a big secret.
But you've got to, you've got to understand the context in which the song's been written to understand why that's actually a big deal.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we can wait until the 21st. Hopefully you're releasing this on the morning of the 21st, so that way we can hear it before we all die in the afternoon.
That is the plan. I mean, it depends. Are we going to, probably, if we follow the Hollywood thing, this is all going to start in America, right?
Doesn't everything?
Which means I've probably got about a day ahead of you guys to get this up and sorted. So we're all good.
All right. Well, as long as we get it all taken care of by that time. Now,
I'd also like to give a quick shout out to Taylors of Harrogate. Thank you for my mug and my lots of lovely coffee that you sent me. Because, again, me and the wife got together and wrote a bit of a novelty song for Taylors of Harrogate via Twitter, and they loved it, and they sent me a load of coffee for it. So payday.
Yeah, well, hey, you can't look a gift horse like that in the mouth. And as you said in your post and in the song, you guys enjoyed the coffee. They enjoyed the song, so it was well done.
A match made in heaven.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys sharing a bit about yourselves with us and with our audience. When I say us, when I point to me, I mean me, the wall behind me, and this little computer system sitting right here. So now I really do appreciate that because, like I said before, when we talk about having our panel be composed of industry experts, we mean it. And this just a bit of this information here, along with what you know about our guest panelists who appear, will hopefully show you that we're not kidding around when we do these kinds of things, which we're not. Now, Tom, I know you mentioned earlier in this broadcast you wanted to hear the Project Sirius song, The Philadelphia Experiment. I do have that available and have it queued up. So what I'd like to do, if it's okay with you guys and everybody out in the audience, is go ahead and play it for you now.
Well, the thing is, we won't know if it's okay with the audience until after the song is over.
That's okay. I think it'll
Let's
all
play
work
it
out.
anyway.
Yeah, we're going to play it. Here is Project Sirius with Philadelphia Experiment. All right, now that is Project Sirius with Philadelphia Experiment. That is one of the songs that is not only nominated for a Artist of the Year, it is also in the lead at the moment for the most requested artist on MSI Radio. Again, you can go to MusicSceneInvestigation.com. Under the contest menu selection, hit the Awards for 2012 selection to make your votes and You can vote as many times as you want on the most requested artist of the year. So we look forward to seeing what you have to say about that. Now, before I go on, it has been suggested by Carol out in the listening audience and viewing audience to ask both you and Tom, Ian, this desert island question. It's actually a deserted island question, but I want to go ahead and ask you guys this. If you were deserted on a desert island, all by your lonesome, what 3 things would you take? They cannot be people. So what 3 things would you take, Ian?
Well, it's got to be my ukulele, my iPad studio setup, and an electricity plant.
An electricity plant with nothing to plug into it except your iPad.
Yeah, as long as I've got my ukulele, my iPad studio set up, and some power to power it, I'm sorted. In fact, I'd probably welcome the peace and quiet.
All right. I'll buy that for $1. All right, Tom, what 3 things would you take to a deserted island?
Well, I'll have to go with Ian on one thing. Definitely some power source that is renewable. It would have to be my computer and my keyboard.
All right, so you've got a computer, a keyboard, and a power source. None of you guys took food, water, suntan lotion, or anything like that. So
I'll catch all that. Catch the food, forage for berries and stuff like that. I mean, as long as you've got the music, you can keep yourself occupied. The rest of the time you spent hunting and, becoming
fishing.
Wild. Yeah, fishing.
Okay. All right, as long as you guys are happy with those answers.
And at the end of the day, I've got an iPad. So, I've got one with a 3G connection.
That's right.
So I'm tweeting and getting out of here as soon as possible.
And,
you know what I mean?
And you can order takeout or delivery, right?
Exactly. You know what I mean? So
it's my island. You can't stay here, but please deliver food anytime.
That's right. I don't want to be rescued. Just bring supplies. Supplies.
All right. That's good. All right, guys. A couple of other topics we want to talk about. First of all, we want to talk about the future, what we're going to be doing next year. By the time this broadcast ends, it will be next year. I believe right now the lag has put us about 5 or 6 minutes behind what everybody in the audience is seeing. So, again, we apologize for that. If you want to hear things in a more real-time perspective, tune in at musicsceneinvestigation.com/radio over at MSI Radio. You can do that. And so let's go over to Ian, find out some of the things we've got in store for next year, 2013, provided that the world doesn't end. Ian?
Well, providing the world doesn't end and the studio doesn't collapse under the weight of the pressure, I think we've got a whole list. I mean, we put up a whole list of what we were going to do for 2012. We had an
13.
MSI plan. For 2012, we put up a whole list of things that we had planned. And unfortunately, due to time, money, and general energy, I think, on everyone's part, we didn't get a chance to do some of them. So I really want to go back and look at doing an MSI Spy. Tom's done some great credits and music for that. We've got some music in. We've just got to bring that together now. So that'd be nice to see an MSI Spy. We talked about a little judge and jury idea where basically people get a chance to have their say on what music should go through. And we've also got the idea of MSI Fast Track, which is going to be fast 140-character Twitter reviews combined with a live radio show where we do our A&R to see what tracks go straight to radio. So we don't do a full review. Format's not quite agreed on yet, but that's going to be good, and it's going to be a new opportunity for bands to get on MSI Radio with skipping the whole Sunday review process and just sort of fast tracking to the station.
And I think that's important. There are 2 kinds of reviews we're talking about here. The reviews that happen on Music Scene Investigation are in-depth technical reviews. Our panelists, if you've seen the show before, go over some of these songs with fine-tooth combs, and then they borrow other things to go over them with. So they do some real technical reviews on some of this music. And the fast track, I think, that Ian's talking about is not necessarily, well, it can't be as in-depth as what MSI is on a Sunday. You just can't do that in a 140-character review. So there is that to take into account, right, Ian?
Oh, totally. I mean, there'll be two separate things working in conjunction. 140-character review will be nice, quick and short. And then the reviews on the radio station will be nice, quick and short. We've also talked about maybe putting a sort of gong-style system in there, where if I'm fed up of hearing a song after 30 seconds and don't think it's worth to go on the radio, I'll press my button, and then Tom gets a press of his button, and then a guest or Rich or someone else involved will have a press of their button. And if the song doesn't last so long, it doesn't go on the radio.
It'd be like kind of like the X Factor or Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent. You get 3 X's and you're out. You know, that kind of thing.
The sort of thing. Yeah,
it doesn't get to the vote unless it gets less than 3 X's.
Yeah.
All right, makes sense. Now, Tom, I know you had a subject you wanted to talk about as well.
Did I?
Yeah, the next year's guest panelist, I think you said.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask Ian, who can we be looking forward to, new and old, to be on the upcoming shows?
Well, I've been speaking to the old guard of MSI guest, and everyone's still enthusiastic about coming on the show and joining us, which is great to hear.
And we do have to book Carol again.
We do have to book Carol again, yeah. She's sitting out there laughing at us, LOL. But
I'm sitting here laughing at us here.
Also got some a couple of potential new guests, including a young lady from altsounds.com, who are an indie music magazine online, and also a gentleman from GeForce Software in connection with Mr. John Hodgson, who comes on. But the boss man over there, he works with people like the Underworld and other big artists.
And I do know that there is another name that you have in the list that is an award-winning gentleman, if I remember correctly.
Tony Palmer.
Yes, sir.
Tony Palmer is a legend in the movie industry, movie and documentary industry, more like. But he has actually worked with people like the Beatles, Jethro Tull, I think, Jimi Hendrix, as well as a load of big orchestras. And he's made documentaries about these people and films about these people. And has a lot of knowledge of the music industry in that sense. I
think I see your angle in having him on. You're wanting him to do a documentary about us, right? Am I wrong on this?
You're wrong. I think he might have a few bigger fish to fry at the moment. I mean, maybe in a couple of years when we've cut our teeth a bit more, he'll come on and say these guys were pioneering. Maybe he won't.
Maybe.
Yeah, nobody wants to see me get up in the morning and put my shorts on.
But I mean, that is a show I want to submit music for because, to hear what he's got to say after the people he's worked with is going to be quite an interesting thing. Yeah,
it really will. The question I'm interested in asking him is about the whole Paul McCartney controversy. Now, I don't want to get into it here. I just want to, take a look at the evidence for yourselves, doing that whole walk across, the street, Paul's the only one without shoes. Why is that? On one of the albums, Paul is the only one with his back to the camera on the front of the album. Why is that? There's a lot to be said about the fake Paul McCartney.
Well, you bring this up. I think we've discussed this on Indie Inquest about 10 times now.
I know it.
You know my feelings on this, Rich. I don't care. He done a bloody good job. Well, he did do a bloody good job. He's not doing a bloody good job now. Really, let's face it, but that's another story. Yeah, no,
that's totally true. And I bring that up just to make you laugh and make you go, oh no, he's not talking about this again. So it's all good. Now, I do want to talk about one more thing before we wrap up today's broadcast, because believe it or not, we are getting to that time. Do want to bring up the possibility of the subject of you, Tom, and you, Ian. When we talked about this MSI Spy event, we had also talked at one point about having a broadcast where you and Tom and Ian would submit music, and I would submit a piece of music as well, and we would bring in panelists from outside to review the music that we put up. Anything coming forward on that maybe for next year, guys?
I'd like to see that happen.
I'm happy for that to happen. I've got plenty of music I'd put in my belt and challenge you guys with.
I don't see it as a challenge. I just see it as a showcase and a fun time.
Where's your sense of competition, man?
You British are so...
Well, there you have it. Maybe we'll see that next year. Maybe not. It depends on what happens.
The gloves are off.
Exactly. There you go. Now, I do want to thank everybody for being with us. Thanks for sitting through the technical issues we've experienced today. I'm looking over at the broadcast system. It looks like our broadcast will end about 10 minutes after we end it. So that means when I say this, it already ended 10 minutes ago, and you just don't know it yet. But we appreciate you for hanging in there. And again, want to let you know that the complete video of this broadcast will be available on our website over on iTunes, as well as any other of your favorite pod trackers. You can download it. You can also listen to the audio again there as well, MusicSceneInvestigation.com. Hopefully next week we'll be back and we'll be able to present you throughout the month of December with the top artists nominees as we go along. So everybody who's been nominated for Artist of the Year will be brought in 3 at a time. We'll showcase all of their music once again, so you can refamiliarize yourself with them from the beginning of 2012 all the way through the present day. So you'll be able to hear that then. Hope you tune in with us at that time. Until then, we're going to say so long right now and play out today with the leading vote getter for Artist of the Year, which is Stepdaddy. We're going to play Scurvy, and hope you enjoy it. We'll talk more about them later on in the month of December. Thanks for being with us, everyone. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Bye, guys. Thanks for being here.